Welcome back to Governance Matters. You know us. We dive deep into boardroom best practices and strategic leadership insights. This is the place where we help board members, executives, and governance professionals, elevate decision-making and all of that organizational impact. Welcome back to Governance Matters. Today we're going deep.
Deep.
Yeah, a deep dive into something that's, it's causing quite a stir in boardrooms.
It is.
Yeah, all over the world, actually. And that is the Corporate Sustainability Reporting Directive.
CSRD.
Or CSRD for short.
Yeah.
We've got a whole stack of research and articles right here.
A lot of material.
Yeah. And we're really trying to break this down.
Yeah.
What does CSRD actually mean for you?
Yeah.
As a board member,
Right.
why is this so important for effective governance? Who else is impacted by all this? And what are the risks and the opportunities?
Yeah, the good and the bad.
Yeah. We've even found some humor in here,
Oh,
believe it or not,
definitely.
about how this is changing board dynamics.
Yeah.
So get ready for some unexpected insights.
Yeah, it's really interesting how CSRD is shifting the focus from just checking boxes to, really prompting boards to kind of rethink their roles and responsibilities.
It's a whole new way of looking at how businesses operate and their impact on the world.
It is.
It's not just about another report.
No.
The sources really highlight this shift.
Yeah.
If you think about traditional financial reporting, that's like a snapshot of the company's financial health. CSRD is more like a panoramic film, capturing its impact on the world.
I like that analogy.
Yeah. It requires companies to report on social and environmental issues across their entire value chain.
Whole thing.
Yeah, not just internally, but upstream with their suppliers.
Wow.
And even downstream, thinking about how their products are used.
That's huge.
It is.
Yeah. So think about it. You're on a board.
Yeah.
And suddenly you need to grasp
You have to.
complex global supply chains, human rights issues,
Climate risk.
climate risk assessments.
Yeah.
It's a whole different ballgame.
It is a different ballgame.
And that's precisely why board competency is so crucial now.
Yeah.
You need members with diverse expertise
Right.
to effectively interpret CSRD data and provide strategic guidance.
And it can't just be financial wizards anymore.
You need people who understand the nuances of these ESG factors.
Absolutely.
And one of the sources even highlighted the need for what they call high EQ teams. I mean, are we saying that traditional boardroom dynamics
It's interesting.
could actually be a hindrance to effective CSRD implementation?
The research suggests that CSRD demands more than just expertise. Boards need strong interpersonal skills to navigate these complex discussions and, potentially conflicting viewpoints. Having a high level of emotional intelligence at the board level will be critical.
Yeah, one article we have even included this quote from a board member
Oh, really?
after a leadership coaching session on ESG and board dynamics.
Okay.
He said, "In the past, our meetings were get-togethers where some of us said what we really didn't think,
Oh.
while others didn't say what we really did think." Clearly, a shift in mindset is needed here.
A big one.
Yeah.
That quote really underscores the need for boards to embrace open communication and psychological awareness as they implement CSRD. The ability to engage in constructive debate is going to be essential.
So CSRD is pushing boards to level their communication skills
Definitely.
and move beyond these outdated ways of interacting to really embrace diverse perspectives.
Embrace the different viewpoints.
But this impacts more than just the board, right?
Oh, yeah.
We're talking ripple effects across the entire value chain.
Think about suppliers, customers,
Mhm.
the communities where a company operates.
Everyone feels the impact.
They do.
Yeah. And the reporting requirements for employee compensation and benefits under CSRD really highlight how internal stakeholders are directly affected too.
Absolutely.
The level of transparency required
It's unlike anything we've seen before.
is unlike anything we've seen before,
Yeah.
even small and medium-sized businesses. Those considered public interest entities will need to comply with CSRD standards.
To some degree, yeah.
There is a simplified reporting standard for them.
There is?
But this is a wake-up call for the entire business ecosystem.
It is.
It's not just about compliance either.
Yeah.
This also empowers investors. especially those focused on ESG factors.
Right.
CSRD provides them with the information they need to make more informed decisions.
Yeah, absolutely.
They can truly see which companies are genuinely committed to sustainability and which ones are just engaging in greenwashing.
Yeah, just for show.
That's a crucial point.
It is.
Transparency is key to building trust and attracting responsible investment.
Absolutely.
Investors now have the tools to assess a company's commitment to sustainability beyond just marketing slogans.
That's right.
Now, this leads us right into the next part of our deep dive.
Okay.
The risks and the opportunities.
The good, the bad.
Let's be realistic. Implementing something as big as CSRD
It's going to be a challenge.
is going to come with challenges.
Yeah,
Definitely, greenwashing is a major risk.
it is.
Companies might try to appear sustainable without making any real changes.
It's easier said than done, right?
Right. And boards could become overwhelmed by the sheer volume of data and analysis required
Absolutely.
for CSRD reporting.
That's a lot.
How do you even avoid getting lost in all that data?
Right.
I mean, do you need special systems or expertise to handle this new reporting landscape?
That's a question many boards are grappling with right now.
Yeah.
It's about finding the right balance
Okay.
between being comprehensive and avoiding analysis paralysis.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we'll dive deeper into that in the next segment.
We will.
But first, let's explore another potential risk here.
Okay.
Conflicts of interest.
Right?
Imagine a board member
Yeah.
with personal ties to a supplier being assessed under CSRD.
Oh, that's tricky.
Yeah.
That's tricky territory.
Definitely potential for some tense boardroom moments.
For sure.
But it's important to acknowledge there are also immense opportunities here.
Absolute.
CSRD could actually be a catalyst
It could be.
for incredible innovation and give companies a real competitive advantage.
For sure.
Companies that embrace CSRD
Yeah.
have the potential to attract more investors,
Mm-hmm.
enhance their brand reputation,
Right.
and build stronger relationships with all their stakeholders.
All of them.
So it's not just about mitigating risks.
No.
It's about finding opportunities to create value.
It is.
CSRD might actually be a win-win for companies and the planet.
I think so.
Yeah.
That's the exciting potential here.
Yeah.
If we can move beyond seeing sustainability as a burden
Right.
and embrace it as a driver of innovation,
Okay.
CSRD could be a game changer.
A game changer.
Yeah.
You mentioned finding the right balance between being comprehensive and avoiding analysis paralysis
Right.
with this potential data deluge.
Yeah.
How can boards make sure they're focusing on what truly matters
Right.
when it comes to CSRD?
That's where the concept of materiality comes into play.
Okay.
CSRD requires companies to identify and report on the ESG issues that are most material to their business and stakeholders.
Okay, so not everything.
Not everything, just what really matters.
So how does a board determine which ESG issues are material?
Right.
What are the criteria they should be considering?
It's about understanding what matters most to your specific business and your stakeholders.
Okay.
What are the ESG issues that could have the biggest impact on your company's ability to create value in the long term?
So like what?
That could be anything from climate change risks to supply chain labor practices.
Okay.
It's about understanding your unique context.
Right, so it's about focusing on what moves the needle,
Exactly.
not trying to boil the ocean with the data.
Right.
But we also talked about the risk of conflicts of interest.
Yes.
How can boards ensure objectivity when making decisions,
Yeah.
especially when personal ties might be involved?
Transparency and strong governance structures are key. Many sources suggest having clear policies in place
Okay.
that require board members to disclose any potential conflicts of interest.
Makes sense.
There should also be a robust process for recusal,
What?
where a board member steps aside from a decision if their impartiality could be questioned.
Right, so a safeguard.
Exactly.
But even with the best intentions and structures in place,
Yeah,
human psychology can still get in the way.
it can.
I mean, we all have these decision-making biases.
We do.
You know, we're prone to
Confirmation bias,
anchoring bias,
anchoring bias,
framing trap, and so many more.
all sorts of traps.
How do boards become more aware of these biases and guard against them?
You're right. Our brains love shortcuts.
Yeah, they do.
And those shortcuts can sometimes lead to flawed judgment,
Especially with something like CSRD.
especially when dealing with complex issues like this.
Right.
One source suggested that having at least one board member with M&A experience could be beneficial. They often bring a valuable perspective on risk assessment and decision-making processes.
So someone who's used to scrutinizing deals and weighing potential pitfalls.
Exactly.
Okay.
And having a diverse board with a range of expertise and experience can also help challenge assumptions and mitigate biases.
Like the old saying, two heads are better than one.
Yeah.
But with a variety of perspectives.
Yeah, a mix of backgrounds.
So diversity of thought is key to making balanced decisions.
Absolutely.
Are there any other tools or techniques that can help boards in this area?
Definitely, scenario planning is a powerful tool.
Okay.
Instead of just focusing on the most likely outcome, you consider a range of possibilities, both positive and negative.
Right.
This helps you prepare for different scenarios and make more robust decisions.
Seems like a valuable exercise.
It is.
Especially with so much uncertainty around ESG issues.
A lot of uncertainty.
And I imagine it also helps to have healthy debate around the table, not just accepting the CEO's proposals at face value.
You got to challenge those assumptions.
Encouraging constructive dissent and critical thinking is crucial.
Yeah, one technique that stuck with me from the research is called pre-mortems.
Yeah.
It's almost like a reverse post-mortem.
Okay.
You imagine it's a year in the future, and the decision you're considering has failed spectacularly.
Oh, I like that.
And then you brainstorm all the possible reasons why it might have gone wrong.
Oh, I love that idea.
It's interesting, right?
It's like a preemptive strike against potential pitfalls.
It is.
Forcing you to identify weaknesses in your plan.
Yeah, weaknesses you might have missed otherwise.
Okay, so flipping the script.
Flipping the script.
Encouraging you to think critically about the potential downsides.
What downsides, yeah.
Now, shifting gears a bit.
Okay.
Let's talk about another challenge that came up in the research.
Okay.
Short-termism.
Right.
Investors are often more focused on quarterly earnings
They are.
than long-term sustainability goals.
Right. The short-term view.
How can boards reconcile this tension?
Yeah, that's a tough one.
It's like this constant tug of war
It is.
between short-term profits and long-term sustainability.
One source book about family businesses made an interesting observation.
What's that?
They found that family firms often prioritize long-term survival and independence over short-term profits.
Interesting.
They're thinking about future generations, not just the next quarter's earnings report.
That makes sense.
Different perspective.
Yeah, different perspective on time horizons.
Exactly.
And legacy.
And there's growing evidence that companies with a long-term focus actually perform better financially in the long run.
Really?
It's not always a trade-off.
So purpose and profit
Not mutually exclusive?
can coexist.
They can.
But how do you convince investors who are used to looking at quarterly results to buy into that long-term vision?
Right.
It seems like a tough sell.
It can be.
Especially when the market is screaming for short-term gains.
It all comes back to strong communication and stakeholder engagement.
Okay.
Boards need to articulate a compelling narrative about how their sustainability initiatives are creating long-term value, not just costs.
Not just costs.
They need to back it up with data, concrete examples, and a clear vision for the future.
It's like the old adage, show, don't tell.
Exactly.
But instead of just telling investors about your sustainability goals, you're showing them how those goals translate into tangible value creation.
Exactly. Show them the value.
And it's not just about convincing investors.
No.
It's about engaging with all stakeholders.
All of them.
Employees, customers, communities.
Communities, yep.
CSRD provides an opportunity to build trust
It does.
and demonstrate how the company is contributing to a more sustainable future.
A better future for everyone.
It seems like CSRD is pushing companies to become more purpose-driven,
I think so.
to really think about their role in the world beyond just making a profit.
Beyond the bottom line.
But at the end of the day, businesses do need to make money, right?
Of course they do.
How do we reconcile these seemingly competing priorities?
That's the million-dollar question.
It is.
And it's a question that's been debated for decades.
For a long time.
But what's fascinating is that more and more research suggests that purpose and profit aren't mutually exclusive.
So they can work together.
They can't. In fact, they can be mutually reinforcing.
So it's not a zero-sum game.
Not at all.
But how does that actually play out in the real world?
Right.
Give me an example.
One of the sources highlighted the case of Merck, a pharmaceutical company.
Right.
They made a bold decision to develop a drug to combat river blindness.
River blindness.
A disease that was devastating communities in developing countries.
Wow.
At the time, there was no real market for this drug.
Okay.
and it was seen as a financial risk.
So they were putting purpose ahead of profit.
In a way, yes. Merck believed it was the right thing to do, aligned with their core values of alleviating human suffering.
Right.
And guess what?
Right.
That decision, while initially seen as financially risky, actually ended up enhancing their reputation, attracting top talent, and ultimately contributing to their long-term success.
So doing good can actually be good for business.
It can be.
It's not just a fluffy marketing slogan.
It's more than that.
It's becoming increasingly clear that purpose-driven companies are more attractive to investors, customers, and employees.
They are.
And that can translate into tangible financial benefits.
It can.
It seems like CSRD is accelerating this shift toward stakeholder capitalism.
It is.
Where businesses are judged not just by their profits, but also by their impact on the world.
The triple bottom line.
It's fascinating to see how these ideas are coming together. But this raises another important question.
Okay.
How will this shift toward stakeholder capitalism impact power dynamics?
One of the sources, a book on corporate governance, made a fascinating point about that.
Oh, really?
They suggested that CSRD could lead to a rebalancing of power between boards, management, and shareholders.
Now that's a thought-provoking idea.
It is.
Of how?
Traditionally, boards have been primarily accountable to shareholders.
Right.
But with CSRD, they're being tasked with representing the interests of a much broader group of stakeholders. This could give boards more leverage in pushing back against short-term shareholder demands and advocating for a more sustainable long-term approach.
It's like CSRD is giving boards the ammunition they need.
It is.
To be champions for sustainability.
Champions for sustainability.
Even if it means ruffling some feathers.
Even if it means ruffling some feathers.
Even if it means ruffling some feathers.
Exactly. It's empowering them to think beyond quarterly earnings. And focus on what's best for the company.
Right.
And its stakeholders in the long run.
The long view.
Now, as we wrap up this part of our deep dive,
I want to leave you with one final question to ponder. You've painted a compelling picture of how CSRD is shifting the landscape for boards.
It's big shifts.
If it truly leads to this rebalancing of power and this shift toward stakeholder capitalism, what does it mean for the role of the CEO?
That's a good question.
Traditionally, they've been seen as the ultimate decision maker.
The
one accountable for financial performance.
Right. The bottom line.
Above all else.
But in a world where stakeholder value creation is paramount, and where boards are empowered to represent a broader set of interests, the dynamics could shift dramatically.
Could we see a future?
It's possible.
Where the CEO becomes more of a steward?
A steward?
A leader who balances the needs of all stakeholders.
Right, not just shareholders.
That's a question worth pondering.
It is.
And it will likely shape the future of corporate leadership.
For sure.
One source even suggested that CSRD could create a new kind of CEO.
Oh, really?
One with a deep understanding of ESG issues. Strong stakeholder engagement skills.
And a genuine commitment to long-term value creation.
They called this new breed the sustainable CEO.
The sustainable CEO.
That sounds like a pretty tall order.
It does.
How would companies even find these sustainable CEOs?
Right.
Would current CEOs need to adapt and develop new skills?
I think it'll be a bit of both.
Okay.
Some current CEOs will undoubtedly embrace this shift and evolve their leadership style to align with the demands of stakeholder capitalism.
Right.
Others might struggle to adapt or simply choose to step aside. We could see a wave of leadership transitions.
Interesting.
As companies seek out executives with the right mix of skills and mindset.
To navigate this new era.
Exactly.
So the implications of CSRD go far beyond reporting requirements.
They do?
It's potentially reshaping the very nature of corporate leadership.
It's a fundamental shift.
And that brings us back to our listeners. The board members.
Right.
Who are on the front lines of this transformation. What key takeaways should they be thinking about?
What should they be focusing on?
As they grapple with the challenges and opportunities of CSRD.
I think there are 3 key things for board members to keep in mind.
Okay, 3 things.
First, competency is paramount.
Competency.
You need the right expertise on your board.
Okay.
Understand and manage these complex issues.
So board composition and development are more important than ever.
Absolutely.
What's the second
The
takeaway?
second key takeaway is embracing collaboration and open communication.
Okay, collaboration and communication.
CSRD requires a shift in mindset
Okay.
from a top-down command and control approach
Mm-hmm.
to a more collaborative and inclusive style of leadership.
So moving beyond traditional boardroom dynamics,
Exactly.
embracing a more collaborative approach to governance.
Yeah.
And finally, the third key takeaway.
Think long-term, act strategically.
Long-term strategic thinking.
CSRD is not just about compliance.
Oh.
It's about creating a sustainable future for your company and for the world.
So it's about seeing sustainability as an opportunity, not a burden,
Exactly.
and weaving it into the very fabric of your company's strategy and operations.
It's all connected.
CSRD is a catalyst for change.
It is.
It's an opportunity for boards to step up as leaders,
Mm-hmm.
guide their companies toward a more sustainable future,
Right, a better future.
and create lasting value for all stakeholders.
For everyone.
What a fascinating and thought-provoking deep dive this has been.
It has been fascinating.
It's clear that CSRD is not just another regulatory hurdle.
It's much more than that.
It's a fundamental shift that will reshape the corporate landscape in the years to come.
I think so.
We encourage you to continue exploring this topic
Keep learning.
and thinking about how it applies to your own organizations.
Absolutely.
That's all the time we have for today's deep dive on governance matters.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for joining us.